Got your questions. Perfection. Okay, so everyone just finish up your questions, and then we're going to talk about them.
Do you want these stapled together?
Nope, you're fine. We're just going to talk about them.
Any questions?
Okay, so what'd you just do?
Probably breakfast.
Did you get it in the trash? Yeah.
Kobe.
Okay, so who had the robotic chef article? Okay, so what was your innovation? What was the invention that you guys read about? Yeah, so it's a robot. What parts does it have to it? It has arms. What else? They want to add sensors so it can see what it's doing. What else does it have? Fingers. That's very observant, Colin. Yes. So it's a robot basically that's built into a kitchen. So you'd buy it basically it's a whole kitchen. The robot's attached to the stove, kind of.
I wouldn't want that.
So then, how could that make the world better, or at least make people's lives better?
Well, I don't know how it would because honestly,
That
it's
just
just a
means you're
lazy
lazy.
way. Exactly.
So it's kind of just a way for people to get out of work, Olivia?
It could make food
If someone doesn't have, if someone has
There's
something
no way
that
that
can't
they
move
Guys.
their,
Make sure you're listening.
if someone like can't move their arms and can't cook, they can use that for that. Also, if they're at work and they just don't have enough time to get home and cook for their family or kids, they could just use the robot.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I actually hadn't thought about that myself. Where if you were disabled and you couldn't cook, that could be a huge thing for someone to have, right?
But how do you tell it what you want it to cook?
So it has to follow videos of someone else cooking. Which is kind of weird. So my question though is how could it go wrong? What were some of the ways that you guys came up with that it could go wrong?
It could blow up.
It could blow up.
It could grab a knife and throw it at you.
It could decide to basically take revenge somehow.
It could malfunction and like it can blow down the whole restaurant or house. Make you die.
Yeah. Food poisoning.
If you accidentally put the thing in the wrong spot.
Yeah, but how does it get the food? Does it like robotically get it out of the fridge?
That's the problem that they're having with it is that,
The food.
Ty, are you explaining how it works?
Yeah.
Because Tyler just asked, so we'll kind of listen to the explanation. You don't want to explain now?
No.
Okay, so the way it works is that it knows, you have to set things where it's supposed to be. So if I am the robot and I'm supposed to get lettuce, and I know lettuce is supposed to be right there, I have lettuce. But what if you don't set lettuce there? What if you set something else there? Then it picks up whatever else is there. So you could accidentally have an issue where you set, I don't know, anything from your house that you don't want to eat in the wrong spot.
Got a rat trap instead of lettuce.
Yeah, you could end up with something really weird in your food.
That's just nasty.
Yeah.
All right.
And it leads to food poisoning.
It could lead to food
But
poisoning.
I said it could mess up on a recipe and the whole batch would be a disaster.
And it could mess up on the recipe and make the food taste bad.
It could just be a bad cut.
Okay. Who had the Gila monster article?
No, I'm not
Alright.
ready.
Spit.
I had it.
Okay. So what was your invention? Grace, can you tell us what the invention was?
Oh, it was a drug that we have type 2 that has hormone that's 55%
Yeah. So this spit has a hormone in it, and they're using it to treat type 2 diabetes. That isn't the only case. There's actually a really common drug called Premarin. Has anyone ever heard of that one before?
I just did.
The drug was called exenatine.
So this drug is called Premarin. You want to know what it stands for? I've drawn lines where it's supposed to kind of be
Before.
broken. It stands for pregnant mare urine.
What?
Pregnant?
Man.
Mare, female horse. So
Oh.
the way that this drug is made, it's a hormone that is actually found in the urine of horses when they're pregnant. So they take the urine and they continue to filter it and they change it into this drug, which helps with female hormones, like for women. So, but that's made from the same hormones that the horse has. So it's kind of a similar case where we need to take the hormones from this Gila monster saliva and change it into medication.
You take urine and change it into milk.
They have to filter it and they try to just take the hormone out instead of also giving you urine. They obviously want to filter that quite a bit. So, how could this drug help people?
It could definitely lower the risk of type 2 diabetic death.
That's a really good point. It could lower deaths. It could lower the rate of deaths. What else? Yeah, so it doesn't hurt the Gila monster and then it helps people, so it's really a win-win. Alright, what could go wrong?
The Gila monster bite is actually venomous, and there might be venom in that.
Yep.
No, they
You could get
make
some accidental
sure that,
venom.
buddy.
What else?
People can use it for weight loss, which they're not supposed to.
So maybe people could abuse it?
I mean, really, with putting any new drug on the market, there's fear of abuse.
So yeah, what if someone is trying to use it for a purpose like that happens, that people use medications for the wrong reasons because it has a different side effect, and so they might decide to do that with this. Or it's used to treat diabetes, but they might use it for unhealthy weight loss. What else? Are there any other negatives?
I got 9.
That one's a pretty good one. That one's fairly positive. There's fewer ways that one could go wrong, I think. All right. And the last one is our cloning article. So who had the cloning article? Okay. So what is the technology?
They're taking DNA and then putting it into an egg cell.
So they take DNA and they put it into an egg cell. Ty, do you want to explain too?
What?
What the technology is?
Mostly there's clones, like DNA in that.
Clone DNA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Make
clones
a new person,
DNA,
it's just like
and what do they then do with the DNA?
they put it in an egg cell and they grow it and it's a new person. And it's just
So
like
you don't have to have two parents.
Yeah. So yeah, you grow it into a new animal or a new person.
Have they ever scientifically done it?
They have done it with different animals before. So there's been a cloned sheep, There's a cloned cat.
No, like human ones.
I think the problem they run into is that a lot of the countries where they have the technology to clone, it's actually illegal to test on humans that kind of way. So, I mean, what would you do if you had a cloned human? Who are they? They don't have parents. Like, so then that level of testing on humans is usually illegal.
You're clone.
Okay, so how could this help people? Yeah, Cohen?
They can send the clones to war.
Like
That
they
would
could,
that
they,
that
they
is
could
Instead of the
use-
actual
They
person.
can make it Jurassic
You know,
Park.
I did not
Use
expect that
dinosaur
answer,
DNA
Cohen.
and
That's
make-
smart
and
though.
utilize dinosaur
yeah, if you
DNA.
really think about it, why
Colin,
don't
you're
people
smart.
die?
If you have an emotional attachment to your family, you don't want to die. You just make a clone of you and send that to war instead of
Why are we
actually.
going to war?
Well, why not?
You could like weaponize like other animals.
Okay.
Make cyborg clones.
So there's a lot of different things we could do with the clones. We could use them a lot of ways. What about, remember how we talked about the woolly mammoth DNA the other day?
Oh, yeah.
How could that be a good thing?
Bring back and
Well, because it could bring more, like they could.
They're extinct, so
Yeah.
you can bring them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could bring back animals that are extinct.
Because then they can make
Which would be
real
pretty
life
cool.
ice age.
They could bring back the animals from
Live
the ice
action
age.
Ice Age.
Okay,
Make Jurassic Park.
so how could it go wrong?
They don't populate everything.
Some millionaire wants more money to make dinosaurs or whatever to try to sell.
Okay, so they could make some sort of
We
like,
could have a Jurassic Park
Abomination.
situation on our hands.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
could take different DNA from everything, every like really bad animal and make like a massive mega weapon. Animal.
okay, so like animal mega weapons.
Definitely want to go to
Bear across for
the nature.
tigers.
well, that isn't any
Like Nate, where's my younger
Okay, Cohen, guys,
If they did make a human clone, the clone could go on a rampage.
the clone might, because we don't really know what happens to the brain necessarily. Maybe the clone would be crazy.
Maybe she'll like abuse like the cloning and just like basically really dumb or bad.
Yeah, people, I think there's always that risk with technology that people will abuse it.
Wait, I have a question myself.
Yes,
Is it the 9th? Today's
Yes.
the 9th, right?
yes.
Okay, see,
Go ahead, Diana.
But say, like, if we clone this person, then they have the same ideas as, like, their original person. We clone Hitler, like it says in the article, like, we could have World War III.
People could abuse the technology basically and clone someone who we don't really want coming back.
Yeah.
That could be a really bad
Send our
situation.
clones to war.
Just imagine Hitler in this generation though.
So that could be a real issue. But this is supposed to be making you guys think that all of these pieces of technology we have are really positive and they can be really negative. So tying back to the drones article from yesterday, what are the positive things about drones?
They'd be good for like spotting people down, like criminals.
They could find criminals, that's great. What else?
they're good for military.
For the military?
And for like
No, it's not good. for
Yeah,
kids.
Anthony had the innocent answer I
Yeah, for
expected,
them, yeah.
delivering, I guess launching nukes.
Tell her it's not good for like poachers.
For poachers?
No, it's not. It's good for them, but it's not good for like.
So that's actually, guys, can we say conversations?
no.
That's actually a good negative.
No, it's not.
So that's a
What's
way,
negative?
and what I mean is that's a good example of how it could go wrong. Maybe poachers decide to use it to poach animals. That could be how drones could go wrong.
Oh yeah, but the drones are $4 million. How are we gonna get it?
I mean, if you're
Poachers
selling
make a lot of money
elephant
in
tusks,
that.
you might make
they're
enough
like-
money.
They're like $10,000 a pound.
No, I'm like saying like
They can buy a drone.
How else could they go wrong?
Like that's what I mean. Like,
No, you
track
don't.
down.
No, you don't.
Yes, I
No,
do.
you don't.
Like track them down, like
Oh, track down the
No,
poachers?
she
I
is
feel like
such a
tracking
liar.
the criminals.
She did not say that to me.
I did.
Okay. Diana,
Government
Liar.
watch your every move.
the government can watch you like we talked about. What else, Grace?
People can stalk you.
It could help stalkers.
honestly, poachers are really soft stuff.
So criminals could get an advantage if they get their hands on the technology? Okay, so how can we think back any of the technology or any of the ideas in The Giver? How can we think back to how that might have started out as really innocent technology?
Well,
Dream.
I guess you could like the
Dream person.
What do you mean?
For
I don't know.
The drugs for the stirrings?
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe.
Advanced for all the wrong reasons. Like you think it's like super cool, it's like techno world, but it's like very controlled, like with their technology.
Yeah, so the technology has allowed them to control people
I
in
don't
a way
know
that they
that
wouldn't be
kind of-
able to otherwise.
I'm trying to think what I kind of get what that, like a dream machine, like, just like, I can't think. I don't know if I'm like talking about
You mean
this,
from the
but-
book, bud?
Yeah,
Are you thinking of like when they tell the dreams?
yeah, like that. Then they could make like a,
so like
Oh,
kind of
memory
like-
receiver, whatever you call
yeah.
it.
Yeah, so that technology, however they managed to get all the memories to the receiver, how did that kind of get abused?
Well, I can't really say anything because my photos like.
Do you think it's a good thing that
Oh, I didn't
not
even think so.
everyone can remember a war? So what if none of us could remember the Holocaust, like knew that it existed?
What's the Holocaust?
I don't think that'd be very good.
What is the
Why wouldn't that be good? That's
History
World War
would
II.
repeat itself.
Yeah. Yeah, so history might repeat itself. Elena, don't give out spoilers.
Oh, I won't.
So,
know what happened.
history might repeat itself if we can't remember the bad things that have happened in history. If we couldn't remember slavery, we didn't know that it had ever existed, someone might have a bright idea to start slavery again because they didn't know how it turned out. They didn't know that it ended up being a really negative thing. Someone could start a war. Basically, history might end up repeating itself. Is there any other technology that we can think of that kind of gets turns dark in The Giver?
Well, no. Well, yeah.
The speakers, how would they turn dark?
They target people with
Very
others.
negative comments.
Yeah. So where that could be a great thing where it's allowing a whole community to communicate with each other, but it ends up being that they give commands. It's always kind of like someone's always watching you, definitely, because to be able to give you those commands, they know exactly when you do something wrong. So that's where some technology that could have started out really useful then ends up turning into something really negative. Okay, so we are going to read aloud from The Giver for the last
No.
20 or so minutes.
Well, this room is a book.
So make sure you put away your question sheets in your binder.